Good morning. I want to repeat one of the affirmations that we had a little bit earlier. My creativity is a gift. I graciously accept my creativity. I say yes to the yes. Years ago, some of you may remember this, actress Lily Tomlin used to travel the country doing stand-up comedy. Do you remember that? I was a big fan of Lily Tomlin. I used to impersonate her a lot. I'm not going to do that this morning, I promise. But there were a couple of things that came up in her routines that I want to repeat this morning because they're the irony of them all these years later will stay with you. She used to do a series of one-liners about things that worried her. I worry that someday beanbag chairs will be antiques. And it has come to pass. And then she used to say, I worry that drugs may make us more creative than we are. And that always made me stop and think because I had to wonder about my own creativity. Not that I was planning to do a lot of drugs to enhance my creativity, but it still made me think, is creativity finite? Can it be boosted? Do we ever lose it? Or does it always stay the same? Yes, to most of those. As the years have gone by, I have realized that we can lose our creativity, but better than that, we can build our creative muscles. If we choose to, we can become the Schwarzeneggers of creativity. But we have to want to do that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How to add to your natural creativity, how to choose to add to your natural creativity. Not only am I a fan of Lily Tomlin's early work, I'm also a fan of John Steinbeck. And I know Steinbeck in some of his writing had some racist moments. I want to move beyond those and just focus on some of the wording that he used and some of the language and storytelling that he used, because that's the part of Steinbeck that speaks to me as a sort of an amateur wordsmith. I'm intrigued by what a master can write. And one of Steinbeck's master works is his book called East of Eden. It takes place in and around Salinas, and I'm such a geek, I've actually gone to Salinas and tried to find the places he wrote about because I knew that there was a lot of fact behind his fiction. Well, in East of Eden, two characters have a conversation. One of them is named Lee, another one is named Adam. And Lee talks to Adam about a biblical exploration. The topic of the exploration is the book of Genesis. The exploration is around various translations of the book of Genesis into English. And the word that's being explored in the conversation is Hebrew, timshel, timshel. Now, I'm not a Bible reading person. I admit that. Lee wasn't either. Lee, the character Lee, was Chinese, and he told Adam that he really did not believe in the religious elements of the book of Genesis. But in that book, he found a truth that he felt he could believe in. Lee said he and some of his Chinese peers in Chinatown in San Francisco were so intrigued by the various translations of the book of Genesis, and particularly that word, that Hebrew word, timshel, that they decided to do this in-depth exploration. They were studying Hebrew so that they could understand how this word was translated. As he tells the story, the context of the word in Genesis is where we read about humankind's relationship with sin. In one translation, the passage says that the word timshel is a command. You must overcome sin. You have to. It's something you have to do. It's a command. In another translation, it's a gift. You will be relieved of sin. And it's kind of passive on our part. It just happens, no particular effort from us. But then The third translation comes to light. Thou mayest. Thou mayest. Timshul allows us to choose to overcome sin. Thou mayest overcome sin. We get to decide our direction. Timshul gives us a choice to say yes to the yes. And Lee in East of Eden says that he thinks Timshul may be the most important word in the world. I have to agree. It gives us choice. Our creativity as individuals and our creativity as community is connected to choice. That choice is one of the ways that we can boost and enhance our creativity. We can decide how creative we want to be. Just think about that. We can decide how creative we want to be. And we can certainly decide how we want to use our creativity. If you give me a word, Timshul or choice or any other word, I go right online to Google and I start looking it up to see what it has to say. So here are a few of the things I found out. Aristotle thought of creativity as a gift of the gods. Okay, I can see that. Psychology Today defined creativity as something that fosters resilience. I could certainly use some of that. I found a professor from Yale named Richard Foster who said that creativity sometimes combines old ideas with new ways. So creativity, according to that, would be a sort of a reinvention. I found another definition of creativity. Creativity is a phenomenon whereby something new and valuable is formed. So you've got phenomenon and new and valuable, all in that definition of creativity. A long time ago, I saw a play called Marmalade Gumdrops. It was a children's play. I was not a child when I saw it, but it was a children's play that I was sitting in on. It was all about creativity. It was all about imagination. And it was telling kids how they can boost their imagination, exactly what we're talking about now, being taught to little kids through theater. And until I saw that play, I hadn't given a whole lot of thought to gumdrops. But you can compare them now to Jelly Bellies, right? You've got the ones that are so intense in flavor. And the minute you pop it into your mouth, you know exactly what flavor you're dealing with. And then there are some other ones that you're not so sure of. And there are some that don't really have any definable flavor at all. Well, apparently the same is true of gumdrops. And the key line in this play called Marmalade Gumdrops was kind of interesting. Listen to this. Imagination is like marmalade gumdrops. Once you've tried it, you'll never settle for just plain. Once you've tried imagination, you'll never settle for just plain. Thou mayest say yes to the yes. Well, Reverend David, in his beautiful introduction for me, thank you, mentioned my enthusiasm for helping people find their purpose. That is my purpose, to help other people find their purpose. Every couple of years, I teach a class on that topic. And I'm not trying to talk you into the class because I'm not even going to offer it until January. But there are 5 steps in this transformation path, transformation being a word that I made up, that where you transform yourself to fulfill your mission or your purpose in life. I'm going to teach you the first 3 steps of this path today so that you can see how they play into creativity and you can see how they play into the choice to say yes to the yes. The first step is to just understand where you are. Where am I right now? Where am I? With this theme of creativity, you'd be exploring where you are in relation to your creative nature. Half the people in the room usually say, I'm stuck, which doesn't work because I don't believe in stuck. I believe we have a choice, and I believe we all have what it takes to move beyond what some people call stuck. thou mayest, right? Timshel, you have a choice. So we can move beyond feeling stuck and find something a little bit more imaginative and a little bit more creative. The second step, what are you willing to release? This brings to mind Marie Kondo telling you how to fold the towels in your drawer. It's nothing like cleaning out your closet. When I say, what are you willing to release? I'm talking about a very internal exploration where you're looking at your habits and you're looking at your lifestyle and your relationships, and you're seeing what has a negative effect on your creativity. And then you get rid of that. Now, in some cases, that's easier than in other cases. Maybe what you want to release is where you're living so that you can live in a different place that's a little bit more creative and nurtures your creativity in a way and allows you to write or to paint or to create music. Maybe it's the environment you're in that you need to release so that you can go on to something that's more inspiring. Maybe you have to stop hanging out with somebody who criticizes your creativity or doesn't encourage your creativity. Well, that points out to us that the choices we make are choices that are available to us, but they're not always the easiest choices. Still, when it comes to creativity or anything else in life, thou mayest. There still are choices, easy or not so easy, we get to make them. The third step in the path is, what are you willing to accept? After you clear out what doesn't work, then of course you have room in your life for what does work. And this is where you can rediscover the creativity that you've always had. It's always there. One way to do that is to ask the people in your circle how and where you are creative. Reverend David and Heather and I have a friend named Jim, who is a fabulous musician, who saw something in me that I didn't know I had. It's not musical per se, but he saw an angle of my creativity that I had completely overlooked. He told me about it. He urged me to do something with it. And then he very lovingly and publicly coaxed me to do something with it. And I did. And it was an amazing opportunity. But it took someone else to see it in me. It took someone else to see what I was capable of because I was blind to it myself. You may not see your creativity as creativity, but ask the people around you, and they can help you bring that into your life. You know, when I was in 5th grade, I don't think my teacher or my parents thought that talking a lot was going to be anything more than a lead into a detention after school or maybe a trip to the principal's office. They had no idea that talking a lot was my creative superpower and that I would end up with a career in talking. I'm a professional talker. They didn't see that coming. You have to know what your native skills are and what is natural to you by looking around you, by getting feedback, and then by choosing to do something with what you have. Step 4 in this path, if we were going to talk about it a little bit more, I'll just touch on it, but step 4 is so cool because step 4 is listen and say yes. Listen and say yes. It's already there. It's already in front of you. If you want to really tap into your creativity, just say yes to the yes. Say yes to what's already there. It also really matters that you are being creative for the bigger picture, not for yourself. If you say, I'm going to create a new app because I want to make a lot of money, great. But if you say, I want to create a new app because I see that it could really do something to empower people in our community who are experiencing homelessness, Make your creativity selfless. Make your creativity for somebody else. You will benefit from it. But doing it for something outside of yourself is so much more empowering. And it also helps you enhance your creativity. When you do it for yourself, you are more likely to stumble along the way. But when someone else is your goal and some higher purpose is your goal, it feels good and it's unlimited. Your creativity is unlimited. Thou mayest. I choose to accept my creativity. I choose to say yes to the yes. So let me review all of that. Every day is a gift. Every day is a blank slate, and every day we have a choice to use our gift from the gods, to use ideas in a new way, to foster resilience, to never settle for just plain, to form something new and valuable. Every day we look at where we are, what we're willing to release, what we're willing to accept. Every day we're more willing to be creative. And every day we consider that Hebrew word that is the most empowering, most important word in the world, Timshel, thou mayest. We have the choice. Say yes to the yes and say yes to the best that is already within you. Let me go forward with this message in prayer. Divine Presence, by all names, you give us yes every day. It's all around us, at all times, surrounding us. We just have to listen to know where it is, who it is, what it is. We're grateful for the yes in our lives. We listen and say yes to the yes. And so it is, and so we let it be.